Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
So you know how everyone's always talking about finding your purpose?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're gonna really dig into that today.
Okay.
Especially in this crazy world where everything's changing all the time.
Right.
So we've got a bunch of cool stuff to look at.
Right.
First, there's this episode, Finding Purpose in an Ever-Changing World, from the Elevate Today and Tomorrow podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got transcripts from 2 other podcasts, Purposeful Living
Okay.
and Life Compass. Oh, and one episode from Life Compass called Navigating Purpose, Finding Your Path in Uncertain Times. That one looks super interesting.
Yeah, those sound great.
Yeah.
I think the personal stories are always really helpful.
Totally. It makes it way more relatable.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that really jumped out at me was this idea that all this constant change can make it even harder to figure out what our purpose is, you know?
Definitely.
Purposeful Living talked about this guy, Alex. He's a software engineer, 35 years old. And he's got the successful career and all that, but he still felt lost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of like we chase all these external things thinking they'll give us purpose.
Right, like those markers of success.
Exactly, but then even when we get them, it's like something's still missing.
It's so true. And you know what's interesting? Sometimes those changes, even when they feel like they're throwing us off course,
Yeah.
they can actually help us get closer to figuring out what really matters.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It forces us to look at what we're doing and why.
You know, that reminds me of something the host of Life Compass, Daniel Ramirez, said. He was this corporate lawyer,
Oh, wow.
had his whole life planned out, then bam, pandemic hits.
Yeah, talk about a curveball.
Totally. So it really makes you think, right?
It does. And it brings up this whole idea of what even is purpose? You know,
Right.
it doesn't have to be this one big, huge mission.
Yeah, you're on some epic quest to, I don't know, save the world one spreadsheet at a time.
Exactly. It's not always some grand thing.
Haha. Seriously though, my purpose feels like it changes every week.
Well, that's the thing. It can change.
Oh, okay, so it's not like finding this one perfect thing and sticking with it forever.
Yep. It can actually be lots of different things all at once.
Interesting.
And it can change over time, too.
That makes a lot more sense.
And most importantly, it's totally unique to you.
So what makes you pick?
Exactly. It's about finding those things that really connect with your values and what you want to put out into the world.
Okay, I like that. So Purposeful Living shared these awesome stories about people finding their purpose in all sorts of ways. There's Maria.
Oh.
She went from being a corporate lawyer to a teacher.
Wow, that's a big change.
It is. And then there's James.
Okay.
He found purpose in retirement through, get this, community gardening.
That's really cool.
And then there's Samantha,
Yeah.
who realized that being an entrepreneur wasn't just about making money, it was about using her business to make a difference.
It's amazing how these stories show that purpose isn't about fitting into some mold.
Right.
It's about finding what really clicks with you.
Totally. And it made me wonder, what if your purpose isn't just tied to your job title or what you do for a living?
Right.
What if it's also about how you show up in your relationships or the things you're passionate about outside of work?
Exactly.
I love that. It doesn't have to be this big, flashy thing. It can just be part of your everyday life.
And that's why it's cool to think of purpose as a whole bunch of stars, a constellation, not just one single star.
I like that analogy. What about you? What parts of those stories stuck with you?
You know, for me, it was seeing how many different paths there are.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
It's encouraging to know you can find purpose whether you switch careers, get involved in your community, or even just change how you think about your current job.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what's so exciting. There's no one right answer.
It's about finding what feels true for you. So we've talked about how purpose can look different for everyone and how it's not this thing that's set in stone, but how do we actually start to figure out our own purpose?
Yeah, where do we even begin?
Right. It feels kind of overwhelming.
Well, something that stood out to me from Life Compass was this concept of adaptive authenticity.
Adaptive authenticity. Okay, what's that all about?
It's basically recognizing that our values and what we want out of life can change. You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So our sense of purpose needs to be flexible enough to change with us.
So it's not finding this one perfect purpose and just clinging to it forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that takes some pressure off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more about embracing that journey of, figuring out who you are and allowing yourself to grow and change.
I like that. So it's not about being rigid.
Not at all. Think of it like a dance.
Oh,
where you're staying true to your core values, but also open to new experiences and ideas.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we actually do that?
Well, Life Compass suggested a few things.
Okay, like what?
They talked about doing a personal values audit, really taking stock of what's important to you, and then trying new things, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And also journaling.
Oh yeah, journaling can be really helpful for processing stuff.
Right. So you can like write about what you're passionate about, what gets you excited.
It's almost like actively looking for those aha moments, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those moments where it's like, oh, this is what lights me up.
And purposeful living also talked about how important exploration is.
In what way?
Like, volunteering in the fields you've never considered before, or taking a class that just sounds interesting.
Oh, yeah, like even just talking to someone who has a job you think is cool.
That's all about stepping outside your comfort zone.
And seeing where it leads you.
Exactly.
I love how these podcasts encourage us to, approach life with this sense of curiosity.
Yeah, like turning everyday life into an adventure.
And those adventures can help us figure out what a more purposeful life looks like for us.
Totally. And speaking of adventures, remember Maria, the former pilot?
Oh, yeah. She had to reinvent herself after a major career setback, right?
She went from flying planes to being a mental health coach.
Wow, that's incredible. But she didn't let that setback define her.
Not at all. She took that experience and used it to make a positive impact in a whole new field.
That's such a great example of what Life Compass called intentional flexibility.
Exactly. It's like, even when life throws us those curveballs, we have a choice.
We do.
Yeah. We can either adapt, learn, and grow from the experience.
Okay.
Or we can let it hold us back.
Wow, that's powerful.
And Ria, she chose growth.
She did.
It's about taking those challenges and turning them into stepping stones toward a more fulfilling life.
I love that. So we've got adaptive authenticity, we've got intentional flexibility. What was that third principle from Life Compass?
Oh, right. Meaningful contribution.
Yes. Tell me more about that one.
So it's kind of like finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
Where your passions and skills connect with what the world needs.
I like that.
And Life Compass gave some really practical tips for cultivating that sense of meaningful contribution.
Cool. Like what?
Well, they talk about figuring out your strengths, like what are you really good at, and then looking for ways to use those strengths to solve real world problems.
Like making a difference.
Yeah, and also finding ways to connect with communities beyond just, your immediate circle.
So it's not just about what's in it for me.
Right.
It's about how can I contribute to something bigger than myself.
Exactly. It's a shift in perspective.
Yeah, that can be really powerful.
And remember Michael, the software engineer who found purpose in teaching coding to underprivileged kids.
Oh yeah, he didn't even have to quit his job or anything, right?
Nope. It's about finding those opportunities to use what you're good at and what you care about to contribute to something bigger.
It's like purposeful living said, contributing to something larger than yourself, whether it's a cause or a community or even just a shared vision.
It's about connecting with something that gives you that sense of belonging and purpose.
Right. It goes beyond just your own personal goals.
And let's not forget about those everyday acts of kindness and compassion.
Oh yeah, those little things can make a big difference.
Think about it. A smile, a helping hand, just listening to someone who needs to talk.
It's like those small gestures can create a ripple effect.
Make the world a little brighter.
I love that. It reminds us that purpose doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing.
Yeah.
It can be woven into those everyday moments.
It's about making those conscious choices
that
align with our values and what we want to see in the world.
Okay, so it sounds like finding purpose is totally doable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But we got to be realistic too,
About what?
This journey to finding and living your purpose.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be easy.
Oh yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
We're going to face setbacks. We're going to have doubts. There will be challenges along the way.
It's like just when you think you're on the right track, something comes along and throws you off.
Right.
So frustrating.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to build resilience.
Oh, that's a good point. So how do we do that?
Life Compass had some good advice.
Okay.
They talked about creating systems for continuous learning, embracing practices that help you adapt to change, and celebrating those small wins along the way.
Oh yeah, those little victories can keep you going.
It's like building this mental and emotional toolkit,
Ooh, I like that.
that helps you navigate those bumps in the road.
And Elevate Today and Tomorrow reminded us that change, even though it can be uncomfortable, can actually lead to growth.
Totally. And a chance to realign ourselves with what truly matters.
Like a reset button almost.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Oh.
Instead of seeing challenges as roadblocks, we can start to see them as opportunities.
To learn and grow.
Exactly.
They also talked about connecting with others and building a support system.
Yeah, people who inspire and encourage you.
That's so important. Having people to cheer you on along the way.
It makes all the difference.
All right, so we've explored all these different ideas about purpose, how it can show up, how it can change, how to deal with setbacks.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is, but how do we actually take all this and, start living a more purposeful life?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Totally. It's okay, we have all these ingredients, but what's the recipe?
Exactly. And one thing Life Compass talked about was creating a personal purpose statement.
Oh, interesting. So writing it down.
Yeah. They said, doesn't have to be this super polished thing.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's more about just having a starting point.
Oh,
Something to help you articulate what really matters to you.
so it's like a compass.
Exactly. You don't need to know every single detail of the map.
Right.
You just need a general direction to guide you.
And just like us, our purpose statements can change too.
Exactly. It can evolve over time.
Okay, so how do we actually start writing this statement? Did the podcast have any suggestions?
Yeah. Life Compass had this great question.
Okay, what is it?
What is the unique contribution you want to make to the world?
That's a good one. So it's about thinking about your strengths, your passions, and the needs you see around you.
It's not just about what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
It's about how you want to contribute to something bigger.
Okay, I like that shift in perspective.
And Purposeful Living had a cool prompt too.
What was that?
What would you do even if you weren't getting paid for it?
Oh, wow. That really gets you thinking.
It helps you tap into what truly motivates you.
Like what lights you up inside.
Exactly.
So let's say we've thought about those questions and brainstormed some ideas.
Okay.
We have a draft of our purpose statement. What's next?
Life Compass suggested revisiting it regularly.
Oh, okay, so it's not like you write it once and then you're done.
Nope. It's a living document.
It changes as you change.
Exactly. Make adjustments as you grow and learn.
That makes sense.
Okay, so we have our purpose statement. How do we actually live it out?
Well, Life Compass had this frame wheel they called the purpose-driven day.
Tell me more about that.
It's all about starting each day with intention.
Okay.
Taking a moment to reflect on your purpose and then making choices throughout the day that align with what's important to you.
So it's about bringing purpose into your daily routine.
Exactly, making it a conscious part of your life.
And remember how Elevate Today and Tomorrow said purpose doesn't have to be this big, grand thing.
Oh, yeah.
It can be about those small, everyday actions.
Like choosing to work for a company that aligns with your values.
Or volunteering for a cause you're passionate about.
Or even just being more mindful in your interactions with other people. It's those little things that add up over time.
Right, making choices that reflect your values and aspirations.
Speaking of choices, a lot of people struggle with finding a career that feels aligned with their purpose.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did the podcast talk about that at all?
They did. Life Compass suggested taking a learning-focused approach to your current job.
What does that mean?
Like looking for opportunities to develop new skills.
Okay.
Or take on projects that challenge you in new ways.
So you can maybe discover hidden passions you didn't even know you had.
Exactly. It's like turning your job into a stepping stone.
Towards something that feels more aligned.
Right. And if you feel totally misaligned in your career,
Yeah.
Purposeful Living said it's important to explore other options.
Don't be afraid to try new things.
Exactly. Volunteer, take classes, consider a career change,
Sometimes you need a big change to find that fulfillment.
And Life Compass reminded us about beating transferable skills.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It gives you the flexibility to adapt to new situations and pursue opportunities that resonate with you.
So what about those times when we're feeling scared or doubtful? What if we fail?
Oh, those feelings are so normal.
Yeah, but they can be really discouraging.
Purposeful Living talked about acknowledging those fears, but not letting them control you.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is. But remember what Viktor Frankl said.
About?
He said, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose.
Wow, that's powerful. So having a sense of purpose can actually help us through those tough times.
Exactly. And Elevate Today and Tomorrow had a great reminder.
What's that?
Surround yourself with people who support you.
Oh yeah, your cheer squad.
Yeah. Share your journey with friends, family, a mentor, anyone who can offer encouragement.
It's amazing how much of a difference that can make.
And sometimes seeking professional guidance can be really helpful too.
Like therapy or coaching.
Yeah. They can give you tools and perspectives to help you, navigate those challenges and stay on track.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to say, purpose isn't about reaching some final destination.
It's a journey.
Yeah, a journey of self-discovery, growth, and contribution.
It's about making conscious choices that reflect what truly matters to you.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions and skills can make a difference.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're all figuring it out together.
Supporting and inspiring each other along the way. So go out there and create a life that feels meaningful and impactful.
The world needs your unique contribution.
And don't forget to enjoy the journey.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and never stop exploring.